Poveglia Island, the cursed legacy of plague and madness. Narrator, Introduction Venice. Gondolas gliding over the water, cheerful Italian songs, art, and romance. Yet, in the middle of this magical lagoon lies a tiny piece of land, swallowed by mist and sea. This is the place rejected by all the beauty of Venice, where human horror was sealed, Poveglia Island. For centuries, this island has been the nest of rumors, prohibitions, and unexplained whispers. So much so that even Venetian fishermen dare not approach their boats here, preferring to go out of their way. Because, according to belief, the soil of Poveglia is not just dirt, but composed of human ash and cursed souls. Part 1. The Black Death and the Beginning of Quarantine. Narrator. Poveglia's dark history begins in the Middle Ages, with a Black Death epidemic that ravaged Europe. In the mid-14th century, Venice had to make a radical decision to stop the spread of the disease. Everyone who contracted the plague, or even just showed symptoms, would be sent to this desolate island in the lagoon. This was not a hospital, it was a place of exile. The sick were brought to Poveglia's brutal shores, torn away from their loved ones in despair. They were offered neither treatment nor real hope. There were only two options: a miraculous recovery during the 40-day quarantine period, or being left to die. Unfortunately, the latter became the reality for most. Poveglia quickly turned into a massive mass grave. Death was so rampant that the island soil was constantly being dug up for new bodies, with graves piled upon graves. When the death toll exceeded 100,000, the officials could no longer cope with the burials. The solution they found was terrifying: burning the bodies. Hundreds of thousands of human remains were stacked high on giant pyres and set ablaze. The flames licked the sky, and the smoke reached as far as Venice. The aim of this act was to stop the epidemic, but in reality, it sealed the island's curse. Today, experts estimate that more than half of Poveglia's soil is composed of the ashes of plague victims. Every square inch you tread upon is resting on the remains of hundreds of thousands of souls who died in desperation. This situation continued for centuries. Every time the plague returned, Poveglia reopened. Those sent here had to battle not only the disease, but also the island's heavy, sorrowful, and death-scented atmosphere. Legends tell that even new patients, though not yet dead, heard the whispers and cries of the island's old victims. Welcome, you are one of us now. Part 2. The Devilish Corridors of the Asylum. Narrator. By the late 19th century, Poveglia's quarantine days were over, but the island did not remain empty. In 1922, the buildings on the island were restored and converted into an insane asylum. This marked the opening of a new dark chapter in Poveglia's history. On this soil, where the souls of plague victims cried out, the mentally ill were trapped in a new cycle of torment. The asylum's most notorious fame belonged to a doctor rumored to be the head physician. This man, under the pretense of finding a cure for mental illness, performed brutal and unethical experiments on patients. One particularly common treatment method was the controversial and cruel procedure of lobotomy. Legend says this doctor performed lobotomies on patients by drilling into their skulls using hammers, drills, and even carpentry tools. Moreover, he conducted these procedures in the infamous bell tower, where patients claimed to hear the whispers of ghosts and were allegedly cursed. The doctor dismissed the patient's terror-filled screams as the wails of spirits. But this cruelty did not last forever. According to the legend, the patient's spirits eventually haunted the doctor. The doctor began to claim he could hear the voices of his patients chasing and mocking him. Driven to madness, the man eventually climbed to the top of the bell tower and threw himself down. The most chilling part of the story begins here. When the doctor's body hit the ground, he was not yet dead. A nurse claimed that as the doctor was dying, a white mist or shadow rose from the ground and smothered him. The nurse said the doctor's last words were, "The spirits of the island are suffocating me." Even after the hospital was closed, the few people who visited the island claimed to hear the sound of a bell ringing from afar in the bell tower, even though the bell was no longer there. It was as if the island's first victims were breaking the centuries-long silence with that sound. Part 3. The Curse of Abandonment and Conclusion. Narrator. Poveglia Island has been completely abandoned since 1968, when the asylum was closed. The buildings are slowly falling into ruin. Nature and rust are reclaiming control over the concrete and steel. But what truly makes this place forbidden is not the physical decay, but the energy of the island. Poveglia is one of the most sought-after locations for paranormal investigators and illegal visitors today. All who go report experiencing an unexplainable sense of unease on the island. Among the most common reported paranormal phenomena are whispers and moans, collective cries and whispers of hundreds of thousands of victims heard in the empty corridors. These sounds sometimes become clear, as if calling out names. Shadow figures, sudden, rapidly disappearing shadow figures seen in the abandoned wards and rooms. The sensation of being touched, visitors feeling the touch of cold fingers on their shoulders, necks, or backs. The curse of the soil, a pervasive belief that any soil or object taken from the island brings bad luck with it. Poveglia Island is not merely a haunted place. It is a graveyard where one of the greatest tragedies in human history took place. A place where even the soil is made of human remains. The weight of the Black Death, madness, and immoral medical experiments has literally cursed this small island. As the waters of the Venetian lagoon continue to flow silently, Poveglia remains a cluster of whispers awaiting its visitors. It is the place Venice wishes to forget, but which its stones and ashes will remember forever.